Today marks 3 years since that horrific massacre at Robb Elementary School where 19 children and 2 teachers were murdered. The community still healing from the pain of that shooting that lasted 77 minutes, with gatherings taking place to reflect on that tragedy. Law enforcement waited more than an hour to confront the former student who opened fire inside the school. Recently, lawmakers passed a plan to prevent police failures, but by mandating more training, demanding better communication among agencies. Investigative reporter Daniela Ibarra from ABC's San Antonio station joins me now. Daniela, we know there are going to be candlelight vigils later on tonight. How has this community really rallied around itself and healed over the last 3 years?
Yeah, Phil, well, it depends on who you ask. I know for the families, that process of healing, it's going to take a lifetime. I know many of them say that they want accountability, they want answers, which they say they still haven't gotten 3 years after that shooting. We've been here all day, and some of the family members are actually out here inside of Robb. They stood in front of the gate, which is something that they don't do often. They stood out here for 77 minutes, which is how long it took law enforcement to confront the shooter. One of the parents told me that he hopes it sends a message, right, that they want answers and they will continue to fight, and they're not going to stop.
Daniela, I was there 3 years ago, the day after this happened, and I remember at that point there were agencies that brought dogs in to help people deal with the trauma. Even on that very day after the shooting, I'm sure so many organizations are offering that kind of help to the community. What's available there?
Yeah, so earlier this month, we actually sat down with the CEO of the Children's Bereavement Center of Texas. It's based in San Antonio. And the CEO told me that when the shooting happened, she knew that she needed to be here, she and her team. So they came out here in the days after the shooting. They've helped thousands of children since that day 3 years ago. One of the things that she said is that it was important for them to stay here, to be here, because that process of dealing with your grief, coping with your grief for these children is a lifelong process.
It absolutely is. What more can you tell us about the action lawmakers have taken? Because lawmakers were very vocal in the aftermath of this school shooting.
Yeah, so I can tell you just this week, 2 congressmen, they actually partnered together to create a bipartisan caucus to address school safety and security. It's a congressman who represents Uvalde and one who represents the Parkland area in Florida. And here at the state level, we know that families, they've been pushing for gun restrictions here in the state of Texas. One of the laws that they've been pushing is what they call the 21 for 21. They want to raise the age limit to buy semi-automatic weapons from 18 to 21. That's something they're still pushing for, and this is something that they pushed for last legislative session, and they say that still hasn't happened, but they say they're going to continue to fight for it.
Danielle, I'm sure you have been covering this pretty consistently for the last 3 years. I know the victims' families have a very certain set of circumstances they have to deal with, but also the survivors of that day, kids who were in that school who were taken out eventually by law enforcement. How are they doing? You must have spoken to some of them over the years.
Yeah, we actually just saw some of them about an hour ago. They were all here in front of Robb Elementary School. You might not be able to see it, but there's actually a big banner with a picture of all of them. They were here. They want to make sure that people know that they're still here. They're still continuing to push for their friends and their teachers who died on this day 3 years ago. And they actually had a balloon release to honor their memory and, of course, just show the community that they're still here and still pushing for those friends and family.
Daniela Ibarra from KSAT, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it.